A snare chord. Yo guys, what's going on? Thanks for coming back to another episode of Aura Audio, and welcome to the Intro to Sampling tutorial where you're going to learn how to build your own sampling app. So that's what you saw right there. I was sampling a snare drum. So let's explore that module. If you remember from the previous video, which I will link down below, we were using a program called VCV Rack to get these Eurorack modular synthesizers, kind of like the one deadmau5 has in that video I showed you guys. So they're pretty cool. So today we're going to be using actually a couple modules that are going to help us bring sounds from the real world or also analog world into the sampling world. So one plugin that's going to help us do that, if you go to this library.vcvrack and you sign into an account, you can go ahead and get this NYSTHI library, so subscribe to them. And then you can also go ahead and get Bog Audio. It's going to be right here. And go ahead and subscribe to them as well. Let's see if we search again. Yep, there we go. Bog Audio. Bam. And once you do that, you can go ahead, open up VCV Rack and go to Library, Manage Plugins, sign into your account, and it will update them. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to create the module. So what we're going to do is first we want to mix all of our outputs together. And I'm going to initialize the mix so it's down low. Don't want to blow our ears off when it starts up. And then I'm going to get an Audio 8 module. And I'll set the output to my output device. And then connect the left and the right channels. And finally, we will use the NYSTHI, I believe it's called Susaudio, what? I don't know what that's called, but it's the sampler we're going to be using. And then final step, you can go ahead, go to my Google Drive link, will be in the description below. And this is a little Snare D1. I believe it's from the AudioKit Cookbook, which we'll get to that. But this is a sample I really like that I decided to use. So props to that. Props to them for providing that sample. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that sample. And bam, once you go to the sample, I'm going to connect my outputs here to all of the ins on the mixers. So you can see we have all these different ones playing. I'm just going to use as many of them as I can. And boom, we should have sound when we turn this up. Nice. Love that snare drum. All right, so next thing we're going to do is go through some controls. So how did I make these chords? Well, I did something called granular synthesis. So I took a small chunk of that sample and played it so fast that it became a frequency. Wow, that's an interesting drone. Anyway, if you want to stop them, you can go ahead and do that. These parameters, these will adjust the length of the endpoint, and these will adjust the beginning point, although it's not showing very well. It's a little bit buggy. There we go, beginning point. And these right here are your play and cycle active. And we also got the volume controls here. So lots of cool parameters with these modules, and you'll also notice there's a CV. Those CV cables will be able to control different parameters and modulate them. We'll get to that in the next video. But for now, let's go to our next project, which is going to be an Xcode from the AudioKit 5 Cookbook. So one thing we're going to notice is that when we load samples into a sampler, we need to retrieve those samples from our computer's hard drive. And how do we do that exactly in code? Well, there's a lot of devices that have been doing this for many years, aka the SP1200 or Roger Lynn's drum machines. But we're going to be doing this just purely in the software, so not really using microcontroller, but we're using our processor here, whatever operating system sound drivers we have to load that sound. So this right here is a good lesson on the Swift programming language for structures and classes. But if that's too complicated for you, I'm going to take you through structures right now. So what is a structure? Well, a structure is just like, you and me, or this water bottle. It could be anything. But there's also something called a class. And the difference between a structure and a class is that classes can be referenced and structures are usually copied. Now what that means, say I make a goose structure and I make a structure of me. So then I initialize both of those structures, and the goose is kind of texted on its phone, not really paying attention, and all of a sudden, bonk, and we get in a car crash. But don't worry, everybody's fine after the car crash, but it's just that both of our cars are dented. Well, let's say that I make a copy of my Evan struct right before the crash. And so my Evan struct is also driving off along with this Evan one, but this Evan one struct gets hit. But Evan 2 does not get hit, and he was copied before the crash. So therefore, this instance of the Evan struct is all right. And that's structs. That's really all there is to it. There's a whole bunch of other properties and differences that are laid out in this article, but those were the main ones that I wanted to cover. And that's all the time I've got for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one, though. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and we will be continuing this journey tomorrow. Peace.